What you already told me. Metaphysician is the author that we have now. They... What did you say? Let me see what you said on Discord. Metaphysician. Oh yeah, you said he was in the SCP Discord and wondering if he might join. Yeah, no, I remember the Hank King, but like the most recent one that we read of his, or theirs, is the Dracula Factory. That was 2191. So that's the most recent one we read. Well, wait, no, 701. In his author page, it doesn't show up that he did that one. Is that one he co-written, or is that like how did that happen? But yes, Metaphysician wrote in the court of Alagadda. I assume that's I assume that's how you say it, Alagadda or Alagadda. He expanded on the okay, gotcha. In the court of, I'm just gonna say Alagadda. That for me makes more sense, and I can see like how like this is a lengthy one. Yeah, this is gonna be quite some work. 701 is the origin, but this one is the base of pretty much everything else. Gotcha. Code of very highly liked. Okay, let's go. Object class safe. Special containment procedures. Due to the unavoidably public nature of the building housing -A, security measures are to focus on preventing civilian access to the anomaly entrance. The Foundation is to cooperate with the government of the United Kingdom in concealing the existence of -A. A hidden passage to -A has been constructed and remains its only means of access. The original entrance to the room where -A is located has been walled over, ensuring that only authorized personnel have access to -A. Operators are to be reassigned and replaced monthly due to the threat of psychological addiction to -B. So we have the modern Tower of London. Oh, it's in London. Oh shit. It's here. Description. -A is a door composed of iron located within a hidden chamber beneath Martin Tower, a part of the Tower of London, also known as Her Majesty's Royal Palace and Fortress. The gateway cannot be unlocked through traditional means, requiring a highly ritualized process. Attached to -A is a complex apparatus composed of alchemical tools such as alembics, retorts, and a crucible. Based on journals found within the hidden chamber, -A is presumably the creation of Henry Percy, 27th April 1564 till the 5th of November 1632. Oh. Okay, got to live like 68 years back then. That's a solid good amount of time. In the 1500s to live like to near 70s. What's the average like? 1500s average lifespan. Yeah, like 30 to 40 years was like the average back then. So him living 68 years, like nearly 70. He basically doubled everybody's average lifespan. The ninth Earl of Northumberland, an English aristocrat, alchemist, and long-term prisoner within the Tower of London. Despite his incarcerated status, the Earl maintained a degree of influence, said to enjoy a comfortable lifestyle, and allowed access to books and research material. He was known as the Wizard Earl due to his extensive library and interest in the scientific and occult. Oh yeah, he's not because he lives long, just because he has books. It is considered possible that others within Percy's circle of associates were involved in the creation of -A, including John Dee, famed alchemist and court astrologer of Queen Elizabeth. The School of Night, of which Henry Percy was supposedly member to, may have also had involvement. A secret society interested in the study of science, philosophy, and religion. Members were suspected of atheism at the time, not only considered blasphemous, but an act of treason and anarchy. And here we have Henry Percy, 9th Earl of Northumberland. Look at him. Look at the sass he gives us. Look at that. Look at that sassy guy. He's like, yes. I guess you can borrow one of my books. But you best return it. If you don't return it, I know where you live. Journal of Henry Percy, the Wizard Earl. Negredo, we will confront the dark night of the soul. The pineal gland will be freshly extracted. Fire evokes the shadow within. Albedo, wash away the impurities. Rain cleanses all sin and prepares the soul for Elysium. Divide, not as dictated but by the rigors of harmony, but rather into two opposing principles to be later calculated to form a unity of opposites. Citrinatus, victory coincides with the yellowing of the lunar consciousness. The white surrenders to dawn. The traveling lamp slays the moon. Rubido, red alludes, instead surrender upon the apparatus a sanguine sacrifice. That's old English talk that I don't fully understand, but a sacrifice, sanguine sacrifice. I need to look up what I have not read the word sanguine in fucking forever, but it's a pot, especially in apparently bad or difficult situation. Blood red, a blood red color, so it could either be red alludes. Yeah, sanguine means blood. Yeah, I read that, like right here, blood red. But there's also the other meaning, like optimistic or positive, especially in apparently bad or difficult situation. But I do think it's like a sanguine sacrifice. It's like a blood sacrifice. So render upon the rapper as a blood sacrifice, which also will make sense with red alludes. A foundation alchemist was consulted. The instructions are roughly incomparable with the magnum opus, a 4-part process employed in the creation of the mythical philosopher's stone. Replication of this procedure required redacted. To request this information, please contact the Department of Alchemical Studies. Through still undetermined means, a mechanism within -A responds to the completed solution, causing it to unlock and open, allowing access to -B. -B is an extra-dimensional city which does not correspond to any known location, earthly or otherwise. Objects that originate from within -B will dematerialize if brought back through -A. Such objects have been later found returned to the site of the initial removal. Okay. Interesting. Those who enter -B report having all personnel belongings removed and the clothes replaced. Manifested outfits are said to resemble those who own at masquerade balls, most especially those associated with the Carnival of Venice, and will dematerialize upon exit of -B. Masks cannot be removed while inside -B, but the rest of the attire can be discarded if one chooses to do so. The majority of -B inhabitants are dressed and adorned in similar fashion. Agents have reported a somewhat organic quality to their costumes, frequently describing it as chitinous. The most common inhabitants of -B are roughly humanoid and have been classified as -1. The sky has been described as yellow and containing an indeterminate number of black stars. Is that why victory coincides with the yellowing of the lunar consciousness? The white surrenders to dawn, traveling them station. No, probably not. Who knows? I mean, the fact that they both used yellow made me think that. Containing an indeterminate number of black stars corresponding with no known or even hypothesized constellation. Buildings are shaped in such a manner as to suggest them being carved from a single seamless material. Black, white, yellow, and red are the only colors to report. White. We will comfort the dark night of the soul. The dark. So we have black. I mean, wash away the impurities like cleansing, like white, yellow, and red. I will be honest. I might be stretching. I might be reaching something that's not there. But I think the fact that like the colors do seem like overlapping. Yeah. The only colors to report they occur within -B. Architecture is non-Euclidean and the normal laws of gravity do not apply. Those inhabitants can be observed as climbing a stairway upside down, but based on their own gravity source, they are climbing normally. This might be caused by multiple gravity wells within the city, but this cannot be directly measured. So like the MC Escher stairs, basically. The city has been described as having the odor of dried flowers with a hint of mold, or a scent of not unlike that of old books. The actual size of the city has been difficult to measure, but appears to be located on an island surrounded by a black ocean. The composition of the liquid is unknown, but described as appearing more viscous than water. Blood. Operatives have reported a hypnagogic malaise while exploring -B. While difficulty estimating time and space, although -B is a tangible location and not considered to be an actual dream, those who had a history of lucid dreaming have shown far greater self-control and attention to detail than those who did not. Operators are to be reassigned and replaced monthly due to the threat of psychological addiction to -B. Initial efforts at exploration resulted in 8 AWOL operators, with those that returned having difficulty describing what they observed in a coherent and or detailed manner. Well, let's see what they said. Maybe we can figure something out. Exploration report. Dr. Calixto Narvaez. My friend downstairs, she speaks Spanish. She would tell me how this is fucking pronounced. First deployment. The almost hypnagogic nature of -B has led many to observe it as a dream or hallucination, failing to fully recognize its inherent verisimilitude. A lucid dreamer and an experienced user of hallucinogenics, I, Dr. Calixto Navarez, was well chosen for this mission. My comrades quickly surrendered to the anomaly, engaging in the decadent pleasures of the city, most especially within the palace. Tempting as it was, I did not join the others in the rapturous orgy. Of course it did. I was about to say like, oh, did they like party hard? But yeah, looks like they did. I would suggest interviewing those that previously entered -B again. It is unlikely they gone into all the details. When allowed the chance to directly control a dream, so many claim they would fly or visit the stars. Those people are liars. Most choose to surrender to the ecstatic delirium of sexual pleasure. Yeah, that's yeah. If you could control your dream, I mean, I would still want to fly. But yeah, there's probably going to be a high chance that like you just want to have a good time with the ladies or with the guys. You know, like there's a high chance, especially if you're a lonely man or you don't get a lot of action. Then yes. Again, this is not a dream, but I'm able to understand why most are unable to perceive the difference. I am reminded of the legend of the assassins, of the leader supposedly drugged and led his recruits into his castle. Within was a pleasure garden that rivaled any imagined paradise. The individuals truly believed they were offered a taste of the divine. -B works in a somewhat similar way, but I do not believe that this is the reason for its splendor. I doubt it is intended to be a trap. It is simply a city, although certainly a majestic city unlike anything I had ever before encountered, but one that happens to exist outside baseline reality and does not entirely conform to the physical rules we are used to. I have made significant discoveries while exploring -B. 1. Universal translation of language. While most of the agents perceived the inhabitants as speaking English, I heard them in my native tongue of Spanish. Even those of my team, when communicating with me directly, appear to have been speaking Spanish while within the anomaly. I have discovered that this is also applied to written language, but not quite as accurately, almost like the old tongue. Written words initially appear as alien shapes, most of the symbols having a somewhat spiral-like pattern. We're in the world of Uzumaki. If one... Which, by the way, guys, I know by the time this comes out, it's already over, but what a shame what happened with the Uzumaki anime. I cannot believe that, like, whoever was in the studio, in the production group, was stressing out the animators so much about getting it done quickly that he went from top tier, high quality first episode to just ruining the rest of it. Like, I feel bad. I feel bad for all the people that wanted to make it as good as possible. I feel bad for all the people that were looking forward to the Uzumaki anime. Like, that shit is just not okay. They should have not been stressed out about making it. They should have had taken the time. Because now it's a laughing stock. And it's one of Junji Ito's most beloved works. So the fact that like that happened, it's just a shame. It's a shame. If one continues to directly observe the symbols, they will begin to blur and alter until some level of translation has manifested. However, there do appear to be a limitation, and it seems that some words native to -B have no equivalent in any human language. The words appear to move on paper, and prolonged exposure can easily result in nausea and headaches. Number 2. The true name of -B is Alagadda. A city state said to be bordered the Neverment, meaning remains unknown. I was able to gather much of this information from the once men of cool manners, a scholar and foreigner like myself. They wore a beaked mask, and exquisite robes cloaked their hunchbacked form. Their hands were scaly, more avian than reptilian, with black talons. They unfurled a scroll before me, said it was a map of the multiverse, layer after layer of endless spirals. I sense an oncoming migraine just thinking about it now. Because I was pleased to meet a fellow intellectual within, I asked him about the nature of the research. What is the nature of all this? What is the nature of all this? They asked. I assume rhetorically. Just for a start, they noted. Number 3. There's a specific power structure within -B, involving entities that, based on description, could easily be considered some of the more dangerous reality benders known to the Foundation. The once men of cool manners warned of individuals that should not even be approached, lest we draw undesirable attention to our reality. There are or were 4 masked lords who directly oversee -B. The Black Lord, wearer of the Anguished Mask, the White Lord, wearer of the Diligent Mask, the Yellow Lord, wearer of the Odious Mask, and the Red Lord, wearer of the Mirthful Mask. They were said to be the chief advisors to the King of Alagadda. They continued to warn that I had not to be fooled by their names, each was as terrible as the other. Man, this sounds like a fantasy RPG waiting to happen. Like, sounds pretty dope, I gotta say. Would be a cool video game idea. I've seen the masked lords always at a distance, all except the wearer of the Anguished Mask, so the black one. Okay, I was informed that the Black Lord was a victim of a political struggle some time ago. The reason was never known, if reason existed at all, and cast into some dreadful dimensional backwater. It would only be a matter of time before they returned. The insidious glamour of the city-state disguises a dreadful truth, one the once-men had difficulty expressing in words. They stated that most outsiders came to this place to seek a boon from the king. They refused to speak any more of this entity and suggested I avoid the ambassador of Alagadda as well, before politely taking their leave of me. I decided time to report back. Got the others pulling a few from the writhing mound of masked transdimensional entities. The first door who entered was the one to return us to the baseline reality. I suspect that -B is a dimensional nexus connected to countless worlds across the multiverse. Every door used within -B has connected directly to -A. If there are other gateways like -A, I suspect them to be currently sealed. Also, it's not explicitly mentioned, but it's pretty widely accepted that the Anguished Mask is SCP 035. Is that the... Is 035 the one that possesses you if you wear it for a certain amount of time? Dr. Calixto Navarez was commended for his initiative. A psychological evaluation has determined it's safe for him to re-enter in the near future. Although it has been requested that he use a more professional tone with regards to his report. Probably because of the orgy stuff. Future operators will be screened for higher than normal levels of activity in the parietal lobes while in a state of altered consciousness, sleep or otherwise. Yeah, it's the tragedy mask that oozes black stuff and controls you. It's only confirmed in other tales by the author, though. Not this one, though. Okay. Well, it makes sense. It does ooze black stuff, as you said. Would be cool. Would be cool if that's. It's been a while since I read that one. I mean, that's one of the first ones I read, so yeah. The Wandsman of Cool Manners has since been classified as -2 and is considered an invaluable source of information. The Masked Lords of Alagadda have been classified as -3. Exploration report Dr. Calixto Navarre's second deployment. I believe -2 is the only entity we might truly trust in Alagadda and sought them immediately. The city contains thousands, if not millions, but -2 stands out and appears to have a strictly scholarly interest in -B, most especially the palace library. The collection was impressive and could have been infinite in size for all I knew. There was no visible end to the room, the corridor stretching long into the horizon. I wandered the seemingly endless hall, Agent Cromwell and Dr. Yu at my side. In search of -2, I scanned through a few grimoires and scrolls, the alien symbols failing to translate, leading me to suspect that no earthly translation was possible. In time we found -2, affable as before and expressing concerns about our well-being. I asked that they elaborate and write their response as best as my memory allows. The ambassador of Alagadda will soon return from Aditum, and only the mats shall remain. I suggest you leave post-haste, for I intend the same. I thanked them for their warning and declared that we would not linger for long. I asked them about Aditum. They replied, "A terrible city, filled with equally terrible people. It is said that the grand causes of Aditum serves the designs of an elder being." I almost read serves the designs of an Elden Ring. I was like, oh god. Elder being. A horror thought to revival even the hanged king of Alagadda. Kra. -2 made a sound not unlike a crow. Kra! I saw like Taliesin from Critical Role. He was able to actually do like a crow sound like with his throat, and I was like, whoa. I should not speak of them, not here. I asked about who they were. -2 wanting to know more about them. They replied, "I am the Wandsman of Cool Manas, a scholar as you undoubtedly know. I am a walker of the astral plane, a sailor of the celestial sea, and a spelunker of the planet deep." -2 knows something about our aura, declaring it rare across the multiverse, but admitted to having encountered similar during previous visits to -B. They said something along the lines of, "The deathless merchant of London, driven by the greed and black ambition. There was another, a stranger in a strange land. It appeared as though they did not know where they were, smelling of fear. I cannot imagine how one might accidentally stumble upon Alagadda. I did not believe such a thing was possible. They vanished soon after yet I never witnessed them leave. Simply gone in a blink." They would continue to reference the causists and the clavicus of Aditum, saying that they reeked of decay and embryonic fluid. That was the extent of people encountered with a similar aura to our own. I suspect -2 is able to sense a person's dimensional neighborhood. -2 turned their head completely around, somewhat like an owl, and cawed, declaring, "I sense the ambassador of Alagadda has returned. I take my leave of this place and I suggest you do the same. Flee, do not delay. Perhaps I will pay your realm a visit in the future." -2 exited the nearest door. Door refused to budge, but I suspect it connected -2 to the native dimension. We exited the library, walking quickly, not wishing to be too much attention upon ourselves by running. We found an unlocked door and returned home. We never saw the ambassador or the king, but I feel it's best that we do not seek them out. Yeah, I mean, who knows what's going to happen if you do. I will also say I trust -2. He seems to be a clever lad. And has like our well-being in mind. Although not directly encountered, the ambassador of Alagadda and the king of Alagadda have been respectively classified as -4 and -5. Information restricted to level 4 personnel or above. The O5 Council voted 10-3 in support of sending Mobile Task Force Psi 9, or PSI, but I think it's Psi 9, Abyss Gazers into -B. The goal of the operation was to locate -4 and -5 and calculate the level of threat they represent to humanity. I feel like that's not going to be a good idea. I'm with the 3 that voted against it. I wouldn't do it. Especially when Dash 2 is like, yeah, don't approach them. Yep. Earth and local dimensional space. 12 agents trained in hand-to-hand combat and counter-occult stratagem COS entered Dash A on at 8 o'clock. So right in the morning. 1 agent returned alive, the rest are presumed dead or otherwise irretrievable. Of course, only one. Of course, only one made it back. Agent Alexander Papadopoulos. Interviewer Dr. Lakshmi Narang. Forward, Agent Papadopoulos was found to be in a critical condition upon the exit of SB2264, losing consciousness soon after. A physical examination revealed fractured bones throughout the entirety of their body and extensive internal bleeding. After 3 weeks of hospitalization, Agent Papadopoulos was deemed healthy enough for an interview. I know it might be difficult, but please tell me everything you remember. The city was remarkable. Command prepped us for it as best they could, but words fail to do it justice. We all had the appearance of harlequins or something out of an old-time masquerade. Wasn't exactly the same, but close enough. Couldn't take the masks off. Hard as we tried. We had a mission to complete, but the details were quite vague. Vague? Find -4 and -5. Get an estimate on the threat level. We knew they were important to SB2264, but we had no idea what they looked like or how to locate them. Go on. Right. Well, we found the palace. Don't know how long it took. Time has no meaning in a place like that. City is full of people, especially that palace, but I didn't feel like being in a busy city in our world. There was something different about it, but I don't know how else to describe it. Layered? No, still not right. Not important, I guess. Things blurred a lot. Everything seemed to follow a sort of dream logic. Dream logic? Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a dream, I'm certain of that. And I have the scars to prove it. It was all real, but have you ever noticed how dreams rush through the details? You end up on one place but don't really recall how. It was like that. I remember the masquerade, the music, and dancing. Oh, and the fucking. All with the masks on, of course. Seeing some of them nude was a shock. They aren't like us. Let's just say not everything was part of an elaborate costume. The skin was like porcelain. I think those were the natives, you know? The natives. You know, -1. But the more you stared, the less human everyone seemed. Some had too many limbs, some had too few. They were like the monsters from an old fantasy comic I read as a kid. Crazy as this place was, I don't think we were ever seeing the whole truth. It's like a filter. The people look humanoid because we're human. Something from another world would see us more like them. But some, especially the natives, I got the feeling that behind those masks, behind their illusions, was something inconceivable. Sorry, rambling. Head hurts, trying to remember. Becomes distracted. I can't move my arms or legs. What's wrong with them? The numbness is just a side effect of your medication. Please focus on my questions. Okay, if you say so. I remember having to pull Agent Maher away from some woman. I think it was a woman. Wasn't attacking him or anything. Quite the opposite, actually. Couldn't blame him. She had curves in all the right places. Made it easy to ignore the tentacles. All the monster fuckers on Twitter like. So, the 12 of us stick together. Hard to not look like you were out of trouble with that many. Anyway, we wandered around the palace and it was like a labyrinth. I honestly wouldn't have been surprised if we stumbled into a minotaur or something. We spent most of the time descending the stairs, I think. I remember feeling like we were traveling deeper and deeper. And then somehow, just when we thought we had reached the bottom, we're back outside. It looked like we were in exactly the same spot as when we first entered -B. Hell, we could all see the palace in the distance. But something was different. Everything was dark, drained of color. Like We could see and all, but it was a hazy gray twilight. The streets were empty and the buildings looked ruined. Yeah, it was like the whole city was abandoned long ago. Desolate and silent. Not a sound but our own footsteps. We eventually entered this iteration of the palace. Everything was identical, at least the architecture. That's when we heard the whispers. It spoke in a language I had never heard before. I could feel it slithering into my ear, eating its way to my brain. We... Please continue. We destroyed ourselves. What? We had no choice. The ambassador, it found us. It didn't have a face, no mouth, nose or eyes. I thought it was wearing a skin-tight outfit and high heels. That's what it looked like at first, but no. That was its body. Its flesh was black. It stood tall, lithe, and androgynous, and so. Please, information is important. Pace yourself. We can stop if. It stood so damn proud, just radiating arrogance. I couldn't understand a word it said, and yet every syllable dripped in with narcissistic venom. It brought a hand to where a mouth should have been, and it laughed and laughed, and when we destroyed ourselves for its amusement, our bones were shattered, our flesh was torn open, and our organs ruptured. We ruined ourselves, its body and mind, over that thing's amusement, and the whole time, I tried to scream, I tried to beg, but couldn't make a sound. I'm so sorry, I tried to say, I'm so sorry. My team, my friends, I remember how their eyes bleed from mercy and ask for forgiveness. You don't forget eyes like that. In the end, I was the only one left alive, surrounded by the mutilated corpses that were once my team. I understand now. The ambassador needed a witness, one to deliver its message, to tell you this, and please continue. I watched the ceiling move as it dragged my broken body from room to room. Eventually we stopped and it lifted me up, held me up before the throne. There I saw the king. It was anchored in place with hands and throat shackled tight like a corpse in bondage. Its face was hidden beneath a black veil, or maybe it was a hood. I don't quite remember. But I remember those horrid imps. They were caressing the king's twitching body, as if trying to comfort it. But others pulled the tethers even tighter. The king's trembled and quivered, and I saw pale tendrils slither in and out of its tethered ropes. I looked on as the imps lifted the king's veil. There's a change in tone suggesting lucidity. I want to die. I can't live for what I've done. Please kill me. End this. I can't feel my legs. I can't feel my arms. Not like this. Not like this. Please, I'm begging you. You know I can't do that. Please tell me what you saw. Say without emotion. A God-shaped hole. The barren desolation of a fallen and failed creation. You see the light of long dead stars. Your existence is nothing but an echo of a dying God's scream. The unseen converges, surrounds you, and it tightens like a noose. And lock. Ooh, he went through some shit. Well, I guess this tells me don't mess with them. They're clearly very, very difficult to handle. Operations involving SCP-2264 are suspended until further notice. The agent's request for termination has been denied. Yeah, of course it has. Due to the considerable damage suffered, amputation of both arms and legs was deemed necessary, and subject is no longer able to perform most biological functions without the aid of her life support systems. He is to be restrained for his own protection. Despite his loss of limbs, suicide attempts have been made, and thoroughly interrogated for all possible information related to SCP-2264. Due to his contact with SCP-2264-4 and -5, he is to be quarantined and carefully observed for signs of anomaly. Agent Papadopoulos has refused food and water requiring the use of a feeding tube. Addendum SCP-2264 was discovered accidentally during the refurbishment of Martin Tower in here, okay. Foundation was contacted by representatives of the Crown due to suspicion of a potentially anomalous artifact based on the writing found within. Since attributed to Henry Percy, 9th Earl of Northumberland, discovered among his notes was an unsent letter intended to be received by Christopher Marlowe, famed poet and playwright. The letter is dated 30th May 1593, day of Christopher Marlowe's unsolved murder. Document 37. To my singular good friend, may this missive reach thee here this too late. 'Twas thou who urged against my building of the Janus Gate. My insult was, of course, the Janus Gate. My insult was cruel, having deemed thee foolish and ignorant of the sciences. I prithee forgive mine arrogance. 'Twas thou who suffered the evil to which I was blind. I showed thee the other ordinary, and allowed the secret darkness to coil around the center of thy beautiful heart. I was blind, but now I see. I was blind, but now I see. I beseech thee to burn the accursed blade and return it to the ash. Seems like the blade being referred to here is SCP-701. Here we go. Scripture be investigated for more information on Alagadda. Dr. Ninkiro Diabara. Thy patron seeks to corrupt and defile. Whence he cometh, there are things that simply should not be. The ambassador shall exploit thee as they did us. I have sealed the Janus Gate so that only the enlightened may enter. May they have the wisdom to see what I could not, and the power to slay the wretched king within. So it must be the king, yeah. Well, they don't have the power to slay him just yet. Damn that metropolis of blood, that terrible realm and ancient countless crimes. Consign thy play to the fire. Deny thy vile patron, and anoint thee from this madness. We would fain welcome thee back into the night. Christopher Marlowe. Well, I guess Marlowe wrote the Hanged King's tragedy. Oh, yeah, maybe. That would be a good guess. It does talk about the news. Sorry, it's been such busy weeks. Oh God. Next weekend I'll be definitely a bit more energetic. Oh. That was a good one, though. That was good. SCP-2264. Creating a portal to a festival dimension just to have multiple horrors beyond our imagination being the rulers is like a messed up I'm not sure, like I try to think of a good word for it, but like okay, halfway through.